What's up, team? Today we're going to talk fluids and electrolytes. We have talked this some as we built up over the weeks into our longer cardio sessions, but today can serve as a reminder because we are not done. We have a few more long sessions to go, and it is especially becoming important. So the last few weeks were great practice, but it is very important right now. But two, we're going to nerd out a little bit more within this short clip. But absolutely a reminder because especially as we're into, pretty deep into fall, the weather has cooled off. The temperature is not that hot. We might think that we aren't uh, as in need of drinking and whatnot, but that is not the case. So to start off with a little fun fact, when you are exercising, your muscles create about 20 times more heat. So this, of course, varies person to person, but just in general, when you take your body and you're not sedentary, you're not sitting around, but you're asking it to do work, it is going to create, it's giving more energy and create more heat. And so that's why we sweat. It is our body's way to help cool us down and keep our internal temperature from rising too hot. So that is why we have to replace liquids, because when we sweat, we are sweating out our fluids, but we're also sweating out electrolytes. So that's what, we're commonly heard of them as electrolytes, but basically they're minerals. It's sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. Those are the things that we sweat out when our body is cooling us down. And so we need to replace them. When we want to focus on this more as, and this is why we've been practicing it, but more of a programmed approach rather than waiting on thirst. The reason for this is because, especially when you're in workout mode and you're not necessarily thinking about it, it can kind of be undermined that you are in need of replacing that. When we wait for thirst, it may not kick in until we've lost about 1% in sweat. And so at 1%, it's not, we haven't reached dehydration or whatnot, but it is going to require your heart to beat a little bit more. It's going to ask your heart to work a little bit harder to keep you cool. And so we're beating about 3 to 5 higher beats per minute. 2% though, okay, so at 1%, that's when that's starting to kick in. You might start to notice thirst, but you are already working harder to cool yourself. Now at 2%, that's about when you're in dehydration zone. And then at 3% is when performance really begins to suffer. And it's hard to, while you've already reached that point, start to rehydrate while continuing to work. So your performance is going to suffer a good bit there. Sodium is what you're going to lose the most of those electrolytes. So the range of sweat is about 1 to 4 pounds of sweat per hour. Again, this ranges per person. If you want to get more of a detailed sweat rate for you, what you can do is weigh yourself prior to a session and then weigh yourself after that session and see what you lost. So you can do that to get more of a personal amount. But that's what we really need to be replenishing. And so we have an idea of what we're losing and what we need to bring with us to be able to drink. And then you can break that up. Say you just need 16 ounces. You can break that up. So we don't necessarily want to be chugging it, but you can drink a few ounces and have it programmed. So back to we're not waiting for thirst. We're doing it as a programmed approach. You can set a timer on your watch and remind you to drink every 5 minutes or so. Get a few ounces, put it back in your fanny and keep going, but you're reminding yourself so you never reach that dehydration setting. Now, what I started to talk about there, and that was a bit of a ramble, but the electrolytes lost, sodium is going to be the most. And so when you're looking for, if you want to get, there are so many specific cardio gels and goos and and the drinks and everything out there now that you can go and get. And you want to definitely look for something that's a carb and more sodium. All of the electrolytes will usually be in there, and that's great, but you definitely want more of the sodium in that drink. And then also, if you don't want to purchase those things, that is okay. Have some salt in your meal after. Chocolate milk, the classic chocolate milk is a great one. Bananas, salt you're really going to get through just food and adding some to your meal, but potassium, bananas, the protein and the carbs and the fluids, chocolate milk, things that are very basic and simple can be your best friend. So don't worry about buying these extra things or worrying about certain brands. It can be very simple. So let's end with just a few tips. Hydrate before. So you don't want to ever go into a session near a dehydrated setting. So hydrate all day, hydrate ahead of time. Hydrate during, so don't wait for your thirst. Hydrate and have that programmed, either set on your phone or just as a reminder, but to take a few sips and start slow. We don't want to chug or drink too much all at once. Have that steadily available for you over the course of that time, and then replenish. So drink after, continue to rehydrate and replenish with electrolytes as well, which again, simply minerals, sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. All right, hopefully that was not too much or too complicated or not helpful at all, but hopefully it was some guidelines. All right, have a great day. Happy training, friends.